Society on BCTV is supported in part by the Highlands at Wyomissing.
Hello and welcome to the monthly program of the Historical Society of Berks County. I'm your host, George M. Miser IX, President of the Historical Society of Berks County and publisher of the Historical Review of Berks County, the Society's quarterly magazine, in print since October of 1935. Not incidentally, most back issues of the review are available from the late 1930s up to the present time. It should be noted that this program is telecast live on the first Wednesday of each month at 7. It repeats Friday at 10, Saturday at 6, and Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Welcome all to our February 2009 program. Seated beside me is my co-host for today, Kim Richards, who's wearing two hats tonight. Kim is the archivist with the Historical Society of Berks County, stationed in the Janssen Library building. Beside Kim is Joshua Blay, curator of the Historical Society and associate director.
Hello, George.
Good evening. And anchoring the panel is Sime Bertlett, executive director of the Historical Society of Berks County.
Good evening, George.
Good evening.
The Society's Museum, Library, Gift Shop, and Exhibition Hall are open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 4. The shop is fully stocked with Reading and Berks histories by a variety of present-day and old-time authors. The Historical Society's gift shop has the largest inventory to be found locally of Reading and Berks County histories, new and pre-owned. It also has a wide variety of pottery, artwork, and craft items by the best-known local artisans and potters.
We remind viewers that for $40 a year, you can be one of us, a member of the Historical Society of Berks County. Membership in the Society includes our prize-winning quarterly magazine, the Historical Review of Berks County. Membership includes unlimited use of the museum and library. Incidentally, family memberships, all living in the same house, are $50 a year.
And while we're on the subject of memberships, remind you that Berks Community Television, BCTV, is a survivor in a tough venue and a unique entity in that its entire interactive. I'm sorry. You are encouraged to call in with questions and comments.
We have to comment that Kim is pinch hitting at the last minute. She just saw this the little script about 10 minutes ago. Anyhow, why not salute BCTV for all the great shows it provides to Reading and Berks, and send a check for $30 for a year's membership to BCTV, 645 Penn Street, Reading 19601. Remember, time passes, but operating expenses never go away.
Well, George, while we're on the subject of events at the Historical Society, I'd like to tell the audience that we're pleased to report that volume 16 of The Passing Scene is almost entirely sold out. We do still have a few copies left, and so I would encourage anyone in the audience who has not purchased their copy to do so now and do so rather quickly. You don't want to get caught like other people have in so many instances before where a volume has sold out, because as with other volumes, there will be no reprint of this particular volume. So if you haven't picked up your copy of The Passing Scene, I encourage you to stop by the Historical Society and do so. They're still $45, and that's tax included. So we look forward to, like I said, you not missing out.
And the minute the last book is sold, the booksellers jack the price to $90.
Well, on eBay, how much? $280 for that? It's amazing.
Right. I know.
I'm the one who usually brings the Passing Scenes upstairs to the gift shop, so I can personally vouch that our supplies of Volume 13 and Volume 15 are getting down there. And because of space limitations, actually, we're having a special sale on Volume 13. Sime said it's normally $45, including tax. But for the month of February, we're having a very limited sale of $30, including tax, cash and carry only, available in the gift shop. Volume 15 still sells for regular $45, tax included, and the same thing for Volume 16.
This next topic is a subject of little house cleaning that we have to do at the Historical Society. I just want to make everybody aware, since we're in the winter months and it's periods of inclement weather, I just would like to notify everybody and let you know that the Historical Society, on days of rain, or excuse me, days of snow, sleet, and ice, we follow the lead of the Reading Public School District, okay? If they are closed because of inclement weather, we will be closed as well. If there is a delay, say a 2-hour delay, we will be delayed opening 2 hours. So where we normally open at 9, we'll open at 11. You can find out if we are open or closed during the weekdays by looking on WFMZ TV 69. They normally broadcast the closings. You can also go on their website under their Storm Center, where they list the closings alphabetically. If you click on R, it'll show you if the Reading Public Schools are closed. It's a little bit more problematic on the weekends, since the school districts is not open on that day. Should we have inclement weather on a Saturday and the judgment is made that we won't open the Historical Society or we'll open late, you can call the Historical Society. And I'll tell you, if you don't get an answer, we're closed. But anyway, or if we're not open by 11, generally it's going to be a 2-hour delay. If you don't get an answer, we will be closed that day. We'll try and put a message on there, but in case we don't, understand that we'll not be open that day. But just bear that in mind in making your plans.
We remind viewers that the next session of our popular ongoing First Saturday programs starts up again this coming Saturday, February 7th at 10 o'clock. We had the month of January off. The topic for this Saturday will be will the real Mary Lincoln please stand up? Jim Landis is going to give the talk. He's an Abraham Lincoln descendant, and he's going to be presenting a program that's open to the general public. There is a light, small cost to recover the light refreshments. Come and bring a friend. Again, light refreshments will be available. Usually have snacks available about 9:30, and there's plenty of ample parking in the back of the building at the excuse me, the parking lot for our Janssen Library.
And usually on a Saturday, Center Avenue is pretty well cleared too in both sides.
Yeah.
Unless there's a funeral or something like that, but that's a rarity.
And it's going to warm up nicely, so the sidewalks are nice and dry too.
I think we'll take a little break now for some slides. Simon, did you want to say something to fill in a little bit? I just noticed that the remote control for the slide changer is somewhat out of reach.
Well, yeah, we can. I tell you what, I'd like to talk about, if we have just a minute or so.
Sure.
We were very fortunate with the when we got the Henry Janssen Library finally opened up. It relieved some space. What used to be our library at the Historical Society was the Palmer Library. It was located at our main location. But with the freeing up of the space from for the Janssen Library, there are a number of things that we've been planning to utilize the space that was the Palmer Library. And as a matter of fact, this coming Saturday, the Executive Committee and the Buildings and Facilities Committees are going to be holding a meeting to decide exactly how and in what process we're going to do that. But the nice thing about this is that the research room that used to be the library at the Historical Society is vacant now, and we are anticipating that we are going to use that that space for an exhibit area where we can have temporary or short-term exhibits. In addition, there's a lot of wall space in that room, and so it's going to free up a lot of valuable wall space, and we're going to finally be able to display and put on exhibit some of the many pieces of artwork that heretofore the Historical Society has not been able to show the public. So there's going to be a lot of new artwork that people have never seen before. We find that very exciting. In addition, we're also, we have a beautiful area in that room that with some large windows that face 2nd Street. And there are plans to convert that into a sitting area so that when people come to the Historical Society to use the facility, the Janssen Library, to do their research, they'll be, if they have somebody accompanying them that might not be doing that research, they have a beautiful place to come in, sit down, relax, read, and just take in the wonderful pieces of artwork that we're finally able to display. We also have, as part of that facility, an area that the public hadn't seen before, but it was an area we called the stack room, where we had many of the archive pieces, special collection pieces that researchers would use. That area, we are going to, I'm happy to say, we're going to be able to turn into a youth education room that Vicki Hefner, our education curator, and the education committee have really long been in need of. It's going to give them a place where we can hold our youth and adult education outreach programs in an area and in a setting which will be free of distractions. Prior to this, programs that we've had to take place out in the Connor Auditorium at 940 Center Avenue. And while that's a lovely, really a beautiful auditorium, with people coming in and out, there were distractions that you know, the kids would have you know, been distracted from what they were trying to do. So with this new area in the Palmer, I believe we're going to be calling the Palmer Exhibition area, we'll have this new education outreach room. We will be able to hold these programs, and the kids and the people that are taking the seminars and things like that can stay focused. So we're really excited about this. This is really a step forward for the Historical Society, and it's going to be very special. So that's some of the things that the Society has been working on since we last talked.
And with tables there, workspaces, it'll be people-friendly.
Exactly.
For actually doing research or for making projects, or like we may have genealogical talks, perhaps.
That's right.
It'll lend itself that people can actually sit at a place and work.
Oh, sure. And you know, so many times in the past, you know, people would be at the main conference table in the Connor Auditorium, and you know, the doorbell would ring, and we'd have to go and open up and let them through the side door. So, you know, this is going to be a real step forward.
It really
and I'm looking
will
forward to an office with windows.
Yeah, Josh has an office with windows. That's just glorious. So.
Well, I believe we can get back to some. We have some slides. Let's see what happens. Okay. Some interesting stories about this place. Can that be lightened just a little bit? Is that possible? Anyhow, that's good. Some of the longtime residents of Reading will remember the Eagles. The Eagles was a very major club in the city of Reading. A lot of people from the Reading Eagle and the Reading Times used to congregate there on Friday evenings. That's just by coincidence.
Suitably enough.
Yeah, suitably enough. But it was called the Eagles, you know, in keeping with like the Moose and the Orioles and all that sort of thing. It was a very popular place, a very handsome building. The ballroom in there was magnificent, and they had a big balcony that went all around the upper level of the ballroom. Anyhow, like so many of the clubs years back, or the fraternities, fraternal organizations, they lost membership over the years. And in the last years that I recall it being used, they had bingo in there, and they had bingo like 3 times a week, and I remember going there a couple of times. Now, some interesting things about this. If you look at the first floor, flanking the windows that are on each side of the front door, you see those lights. Those very handsome lights, which are a lot bigger than they look in this particular picture. Well, you can compare them to the size of the cars beneath. When the pagoda was first put up, they had one of those Tory gates. We rebuilt the Tory gate, and the old Tory gates had lights that were exactly the same as those lights that you see in the front of that building. They were identical. You compare the old pictures to those that are there and those that were up at the pagoda. Anyhow, when they tore this down...
Where was it, George?
What's that?
Where was it?
Oh, that was on Penn Street, sorry. Penn Street on the south side, going up Penn, it was on the right-hand side, just below City Park. Yeah. And the Park Theater, which was a Moose Hall. This was the Eagles, and a stone's throw away was the Moose Hall and Moose Auditorium. That was just off to the right here. They tore that down. They've just built some new, like apartment houses in the place of where the Park Theater used to be. Anyhow, and that apartment house on the corner, or that, what are they, condos on the corner, they occupy the place of this. Anyhow, those wonderful lights, Carolyn Ramsey and a couple of us removed those from the building with the eye. I mean, they were big, they were heavy. We removed them, and they were going to tear the building down. It was slated for demolition. and we thought we'd put them on the Torii gate up at the rebuilt gate up at the pagoda. So they were heavy. We put them down on the sidewalk. The next morning we came with a pickup truck. They were gone. Someone stole, and they were heavy. I mean, they really were big and heavy. Now, interesting thing about this particular building, the Eagles. On the top, there were two places that I can think of in the city of Reading where they had roof gardens. One was at the Elks at 5th and Franklin, and the other one, the roof garden, was up here on the Eagles. By the way, that really was a handsome, handsome building. What a shame.
Yeah, it's really
that
nice.
ball. Do you remember that ballroom, Simon?
I was never in there, George. I remember the building vaguely. I mean, really, it's very.
They had one of those huge, like the crystal ball that they would rotate and.
Oh, the faceted.
Yeah, the faceted, right. It was a
disco ball.
It was yeah, that's true. It was really a neat, beautiful building. Anyhow, now this I took from City Park, looking over the top of the Eagles. Look at the old Consumers Gas Company a storage tank down there, which was along the Schuylkill River. But anyhow, there on the roof you can see like a band shell, and they used to have big bands up there.
On the roof?
Oh, sure.
Wow.
And dancing on the roof.
Yeah,
now they had the same thing at the Elks.
Huh.
The Elks had exactly the same kind of an arrangement. Most people, unless you went over to City Park and you looked over in a certain direction between trees, you didn't know that it was there. But I knew it was there, and I got a picture of it while the getting was good.
That's great.
But that was the roof garden.
Some good parties up there, I imagine.
Oh, they had great parties up
When was
there.
the last time they had a concert up there? Huh.
So, unfortunately, that is all gone. I just realized when I had taken this picture, when do you suppose that was taken? If you had to guess.
When?
When?
What year?
Late 60s? Early 60s?
Exactly.
70s, yeah.
That was torn down about 1969. Because that's when I took that with an old 8x828 Kodak Pony camera.
Wow, look at that.
Now, that's a scene that some people, that so many people will remember, but today, the building on the corner was taken away when they widened Cherry Street.
I was going to say, that's exactly...
Yeah, and in that property, on the second floor of the one on the left, was where Temple Oheb Shalom was organized. The Austrians, Ben Austrian's dad and mother were very active in Oheb Shalom, and they had a meeting up there on the second floor next to the log cabin to organize a temple. And what they did was they actually bought an old evangelical church on Spruce Street, which later became a machine shop. The building still stands, but that was the original temple for that congregation. And then they went up and built that handsome building up on Perkiomen Avenue, which was given over to the Olivet Boys and Girls Club. But that's where Temple Oheb Shalom was established, above the word Whitman. And by the way, Ben Austrian's dad was the last one buried in the old Jewish cemetery up on South Street. It's a triangular-shaped lot. And to this day, they've never built on that lot. I've seen a few old cars sitting there, but that was the original cemetery. His dad was the last one buried up there. And when they established the new burial grounds over along 724 above Route 10, what they call Green Tree, they moved those burials over to that new cemetery. But anyhow, Ben Austrian's dad used to live there. The log cabin that you see was for a long time an office sort of space. They call it a conveyancer. For many, many years occupied that building. Now, it didn't look quite like that. It didn't have all those windows in the front. It had one window. But then later on, they converted that to a little confectionery store, candy, ice cream, that sort of thing. And then it was a restaurant for a long time. That was slated to be torn down. That was slated to be torn down, let me see, Berks and Focus, in the late 60s. They were going to get rid of that along with those other buildings. But what happened was there was a great big fuss about the only obvious log cabin left in the city of Reading. Of course, Reading had more log cabins at that time, but people didn't know it because they had German siding on and whatever else. But there was a big outcry, and that building was saved. I wrote an article at that time and made a big fuss myself about saving this building because it was a very obvious old building. It wasn't quite as old as people thought it was. They used to give the dates of that thing like 1730 and whatever. Actually, I think it dates from something like 1794, because in the Reading Eagle one time there was a report of some woman who lived across the street who, as a little girl, watched them build that in 1794. And it was her son who reported in the later years, after she was long dead, that she watched, that they cut those logs down from Ash Alley, which is today Court Street. Those logs were cut from along Court Street, dragged down there to build that cabin. I think it was 1794. So we do know how old the building is. Anyhow, that's the old log cabin on 4th Street. There used to be a church across the way, long gone. But an evangelical church.
I didn't realize they had widened Cherry Street.
Oh yeah, because the width of those two buildings.
Yeah.
That double structure. Aha! Crystal Palace hot dog place. Boy, we all love that. Crystal Palace hot dog place was is still a very, very popular place. Although I can't believe that they've moved that down to South 6th near what used to be Haynes Hobby Shop. What's it called today?
Iron Horse Hobbies.
Yeah. Iron Horse Hobbies. That was the old Crystal Palace Hotel. And you went in to the left of the Crystal Palace building. You went in there, and they used to have market in there. And on the upper stories, they called it the Crystal because it had glass all over the place. And you went up there, and it was a regular hotel, a rather fancy one at one time. There are old photographs showing the inside with palm trees all over the place, wicker furniture. It was one of those neat old buildings. Yeah, the Crystal Palace used to be open late at night. I'm not sure that they might have been open 24 hours. Maybe someone will call and remind me whether I'm right or wrong. But they had those old armchairs in there. What I remember very fondly was their soda dispenser, their cabinet was a Moxie bottle, a gigantic Moxie bottle painted silver. Do you remember that?
I don't.
A Moxie bottle painted silver.
I do not.
Because I used to go in there to buy hot dogs, and then you would sneak them on your person to go into the Astor Theater because you weren't allowed to be walking in there with hot dogs, so everyone was always sneaking them in. Anyhow, that's the Crystal Palace, and they have now moved to South 6th. Still, the hot dogs taste exactly the same today as they did 40 years ago. Exactly the same. That wonderful sauce and the hand-cut onions, exactly the same. I'm making myself hungry just thinking about this. I have to stop tomorrow and get some of those.
No burgers,
things.
though.
That picture, I'm just looking, that picture was taken about could it be 1962? Could it be that long ago?
That car looks...
I have here 1962.
That car doesn't look that old, George. You think?
That picture was taken, by the way, they had moved. That picture, and that sort of sat there for maybe 2 years before they actually tore it down, yeah.
Huh.
Aha, there we are inside. The counter still looks the same. I think they moved everything down. And years ago, the fellow who used to make the hot dogs would line them up in his arm. There'd be a whole bunch of them going up right up his arm. And then, of course, that time they had a waitress who would serve them to the people seated on those very interesting chairs like they used to have in school, but with a big arm on the right-hand side.
Still have those.
Yeah, they still have those, yeah. No one makes a better hot dog. Oh, wait a minute. Do I see? Yeah, you see it back there beside the man's head. You see the soda cooler?
Oh, yeah, the big bottle.
Like a gigantic bottle,
yeah,
like a Moxie bottle painted silver. I have to check to see where they open 24 hours. I remember going in there pretty late at night. Oh, a rare, rare, rare picture. That was... we have a home viewer. Yes, home viewer, you're on. Hello, home viewer.
Yes, I reminiscing about the Crystal Palace.
Yes.
I used to be an usher at the Astor Theater.
Oh, yes.
You come down there and watch this guy, and one of the guys there, he's got about 5 or 6 hot dogs up his
Oh,
arm.
yeah, up his arm.
And smear, mustard on them, and all the road and sprinkle stuff on the guy. It was amazing how they never fell off.
Do you have any idea how late they were open at night?
Well, they were still open after the movie house closed, and I'd come down, we'd get a hot dog or two before we went home.
And the last movie at the Astor was, what, 10:30?
I think so. 10:30, 11 o'clock till everybody got out of there.
Yeah. Because I used to go to the Astor pretty often.
And at the Crystal Palace and the market house there, if you want to use the bathroom, you had to go upstairs. And I think it was old wooden doors or whatever, there's a 6-inch tongue and groove doors.
Those were big doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate the call. What year did you work at the Astor as an usher?
Let me see. I had to go back. I'm 76 now, so I was about 16, I guess, at the time.
Oh.
That's 60 years ago.
That's a while. Hey, appreciate your call. Thanks for calling. I think we're going to take a little recess now and go back to other business of the day. We're coming back with more slides. Don't go away.
All right. Well, I'd like to talk about a few of the events that are coming up at the Historical Society. Joshua mentioned that we do have the first Saturday program. Which camera are we on here? There we go. Joshua mentioned that we do have the first Saturday program coming up this Saturday, but I would also like to say that on Saturday, February 14th, Valentine's Day, we'll also have our monthly Hendel Open House. So if you've never been in the Hendel House, seen this wonderful vintage Victorian mansion, I urge you to do so. It'll be open from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then also on the 21st, Saturday the 21st of February, we have the annual combined luncheon of the Sons of the American Revolution, Daughters of the American Revolution, Children of the American Revolution, and the Historical Society of Berks County. And this year, the annual luncheon will take place. If you can catch, kind of zoom in on this. The program will take place. What are we? Is that right there? Okay. Program will take place on the 20.
For this.
I'm really lost. Oh.
There we go. Okay, the program will take place on the 21st. It is a luncheon, as the name indicates. It is a luncheon. You have your choice of 2 entrees. You can have either grilled Atlantic salmon or, I believe, it's chicken piccata. The cost of this luncheon is $22. The food will be provided by Bravo Catering. They've done a number of events for us, and it's excellent. And then to go along with it, we also have a program for that day that will be presented by Mr. Lynn Otto, and it will be the Frontier Forts of the Blue Mountains. And this ought to be very interesting. He's going to talk about the forts in general, why they were constructed, the men that served there, and also the logistic concerns of the fort. So it's going to be a really good program, and I encourage everyone to attend. And then on the 28th of February at 7:30 in the evening, we're going to host the annual Best of Berks Youth Concert. And that will take place in the Connor Auditorium at our main facility at 940 Center Avenue. This is a joint program between the Historical Society of Berks County as well as the Museum Club of Reading and the Reading Symphony Orchestra League, and it features the best youth artists in the county, some of the best vocalists and the best musicians. And George has a long history with this, and he can tell us a little bit
50
more.
50
years. Is that right?
Yeah. It's a music club of Reading and Berks.
Okay, Music Club of Reading and Berks.
Established in 1904. Yes, for about, as a matter of fact, one of the Joshua Cole was one of the winners, and he performed at the Historical Society, and it won't be that long until Joshua Cole winds up singing at Metropolitan Opera House. He's a fine tenor, attended Wyomissing, graduated from Wyomissing High School. What they have every year, and it's been a very popular program, they have 5 or 6 of the top people, the winners in a little contest that they have. As a matter of fact, I think I have something here. to give an idea, yes, what it's all about. There will be 5 people who will be performing at that program. It runs about an hour, folks, from 7:30 to about 8:30, and then there will be refreshments, some baked goods. Andrew Bader, 11th grade, Boyertown High School, will be playing at cello, and he's playing something by Camille Sasson. Andrew Rutterau, 11th grader from Muhlenberg, is going to be doing the Rhapsody in E flat by Brahms, and he's doing an etude also. Laura Bleiler, 17, 12th grade, Ole Valley High School, will be playing the violin in the Concerto in G minor, a Vorspiel by Max Bruch. 4th place, another one will be Callie Matt, 16, 11th grade, and she's going to be doing, she's a student of Francine Black. Francine Black is a marvelous teacher. She and her daughter Tamira are both fine teachers down in the Eastern Berks section around Bartow. And they're going to be doing Think of Me, Weber, and the famous Willow song from the Ballad of Baby Doe by Moore. That Ballad of Baby Doe is an absolutely gorgeous piece. And Rebecca Krem from 12th grade, Boyertown High School, also a student of Francine Black's, mezzo-soprano. I Dreamed a Dream by Weber, and Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again by Andrew Lloyd Webber.
From the opera?
Yeah, from the Phantom of the Opera. I think one of the greatest musicals of recent times. I can't think of one that I like better. Anyhow, so we have 2 vocalists, we have a violinist, a pianist, and a cellist. We'll be playing on the end of the month, the last Saturday of the month, 7:30. It'll last about 1 hour. The public is invited. There is no charge, and we will feed you. So by all means, come. Do bring friends. It's a very popular program. We usually fill the auditorium for that. Okay, thank you, Simon.
You bet. I've got one more event that we have coming up. We're very fortunate on the 21st, Saturday the 21st of February. We're fortunate to have Ms. Ricky Lee Douglas will be at the Historical Society, and Ms. Douglas is the author of this children's book, Molly, the Trolley, and Bud. And it's special in that not only will she be doing the reading, but she's going to be doing the reading inside the Historical Society's trolley car in the basement. Okay? This is a first-come, first-served basis. You must have reservations. It's suitable for children 3 years and older. They have to be accompanied by an adult, and it's just going to be really nice. The 2 readings, one's going to take place at 9:30, and the second one will be at 10:30. So give us a call, get set up for this, because, like I said, the nature of the book and just being in that wonderful old trolley from the Reading trolley system at the Historical Society is just great. So we hope you can attend, and if you can, please give us a call. Josh, I think you have.
Did she do the illustration for that? That's a very pleasing picture.
I did. I have to look to see whether she did the illustration for that, but it is. It's very nice. Very nice. Josh, what do you got for us?
Well, excuse me, I seem to have some stuck in my throat this evening. Got a little show and tell here. Our guest curator, Paul Trumman, and I are getting ready for our World War I and World War II on the Berks Home Front. We Stand United exhibit, which opens up Saturday, March 7th. We're going to have a lot of really good selection of posters here. We're getting a lot of supporting objects as well. But one of the things that's going to make this exhibit so appealing is our wonderful collection of posters. If we can have a look at some of our posters while I'm telling you some figures here. I brought 3 posters along. There's 2 from World War I and 1 from World War II. These are asking for donations for books during World War I and World War II. Right now you're looking at a World War I example. Basically, any place where a soldier needed a book during World War I, they looked for contributions. And I have a publication here that was published by the American Library Association from June 1918. They had 2.1 million books in circulation. Many camps had their own library. They had about 212 librarians in service. Camps had their own library, hospitals, troop trains. They would even supply books on troop trains for soldiers traveling back and forth between the cities here before they were sent overseas. Just a number of books here, and there's a couple of really good examples here on the floor too. 36 camp library buildings were erected. They had standard designs of libraries, 41 large camp libraries, 91 hospitals and Red Cross houses, and also 200, I already mentioned the 212 librarians, 237 small military camps and posts equipped with book collections. They had a total of 249 naval and marine stations, vessels supplied with the libraries, and about 1,300 more branches and stations placed in the YMCA and the Knights, it says KFC, which must be Knights of Columbus, yeah. Huts, barracks, and mess halls, and about 500,000 books shipped overseas for a total of 2.1 million books, which is an amazing amount of books. And as I was reading the bulletin here, soldiers weren't just interested in fiction or nonfiction. They had a lot of requests for technical books, educational books. Some publishing companies didn't quite take them seriously enough that they wanted actually educational books and technical books, but they were able to get a lot of donations from libraries and a lot of publishing companies to send books overseas. And we also have a World War II example right next to it. There is one, and that's an example from World War II, 1943. So this is one of the very, very many topics covered by the posters. We also have rationing, scrap drives, gas rationing, rubber rationing, just a variety of topics, and also victory gardens. Sorry, son.
Josh, how about the exhibit opening? That's going to be a fun day.
I was just about to get to our opening.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be on.
I didn't want you to leave that out.
Oh, of course not. It's going to be, our opening is going to be at 10 o'clock. We're going to have an opening lecture by Dr. Kupfer, who's an associate professor at Penn State Harrisburg. That's going to be on 10 o'clock Saturday, March 7th. We'll be talking about this a little more at our March program, because we'll have a program before the opening. But it's a free lecture. We're going to have some musical entertainment.
Yeah, they tell me the Andrews sisters.
The Andrews sisters.
Yeah. Laverne, Patty, and who's the third one? Oh, come on. Somebody call in and tell us who that third one is. For the life of me, I can't remember.
It's before my time.
Patty was the one that Bud Abbott, Luke Costello used to like.
Okay.
But we're encouraging people to come in period dress, civilian as well as military clothing, dress uniforms. We might have some military vehicles. We're working on lining that up for the display outside, because we won't be able to fit those in the building. And we're also working on decorating our auditorium, is where we always hold the opening lecture and the refreshment and entertainment, setting it up like a USO with bunting. It's actually one of the biggest challenges has been trying to find a large 48-star flag. I think I have a couple leads, but nobody has a really good large-size 48-star flag. It's been a really hard sell. But it's going to be Saturday, March 7th, starting at 10 o'clock. Free. Please bring a friend. It's open to the public. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're also working. Simon's not too excited about this. We're also working on having period food, including Spam sandwiches. But we plan to have victory donuts and victory cookies. So it's going to be a very, very good day. Saturday, March 7th. And again, we'll be talking about it more next month. And even though we haven't even finished installing this exhibit, we're also always thinking of what's going to be next, or what could be next. And we'd really like to put together an exhibit on post-World War II in Berks County, specifically the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Of course, we have a lot of stuff prior to World War II, and this is going to be a World War I and a World War II era exhibit. But we'd love to do a post-war exhibit. And it looks like we have another home viewer.
Maybe someone might know who the third.
I was going to say maybe.
You're on, home viewer.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You're on. Go to it.
I'd like to say the other sister was Maxine.
Maxine.
Ah, thank you.
Thanks for calling in. Now we can sleep tonight.
Yes.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, all three of them will be there, even if we might not be able to remember the third name. But we're planning to have all three of them and a piano player. So come one, come all. Please bring a friend. It's a free open day. The whole museum's open. It's a wonderful day. Our exhibit openings are always very popular. So the earlier you come, the more guaranteed fun you're going to have.
Does that include the Spam sandwiches?
That's additional fun.
that's
Well, we're going to set this up like a like a World War II canteen. When the troops used to get off the off the trains and they'd come in, they were fed, they were nourished, and like I said, they had a place to just to relax. And so we're trying to recreate that, and that's why, like I said, we're looking for the people in period costume, and we want to have the correct period food. And we've gotten some sources where they're showing us how to do that. So it should be very entertaining, a lot of fun.
I remember during World War II, Dad would go to Sailors at 4th and Penn and get that meat substitute, that soy, that supposedly tasted like turkey and pork. It never did. It all tasted sort of the same.
Kind of funny how that's coming back in favor now.
Yeah, but
turkey.
that was a big thing, to get that the meat substitute at Sailors at 4th and Penn. They had a large supply of soy. You know what, I'm just looking at that poster. That's a magnificent poster. I mean, look at the size of that, and it's like the day it was issued. That's a major, that's a piece of work of art.
We have a lot of posters, and they're in wonderful shape. Really doesn't.
And I have no idea where we got them. Do you know?
Couple major sources. One of the gentlemen, his father worked for the, I think this is a World War II, or this is a World War I poster. Yeah. But a lot of our World War II posters come from somebody, I'm trying to remember his name, but his father worked for the civilian defense. And he picked up a number of them.
That's an absolute work of art.
Yeah.
That's a major
The World
piece.
War Is, as you can probably tell from looking at the three earlier here, the World War Is certainly tend to be a lot more art quality, shall we say, whereas the ones from World War II are a lot more
very impressive
modern design. But they're in beautiful shape.
Okay, we thank you. Maybe we can get it. Some slides. Does anything you want to add there, Simon?
No, just I think Joshua did a great job. Like you said, we were just looking if we have people in the audience who could help us out with maybe putting on a 50s, 60s, or 70s exhibit. If you got your lava lamps and your shag carpets, give Josh a call.
Oh, we have another home viewer.
Home
George.
viewer, yes. You're on, home viewer.
Hello.
Hiya.
Miser.
Yes.
About 2 months ago, you had a picture on a building that you couldn't identify. Looked like a big, like something was in an airport or whatever.
It was the grocery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're going to tell us what it is. I think I know, but go ahead.
No, I want to ask you what it is.
Oh, okay.
You never really did tell us.
That was a building down in Norristown, and it was used for train work. A fellow sent me 2 photographs of it. It was in Norristown. And
it was a trolley barn, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It was a trolley barn. You're absolutely right. It was a trolley barn, and they tore down. Remember, we saw that one picture. There were stones were lying around in the foreground. We wondered what was going on there. They built a gas station, one of those old-fashioned-looking gas stations, sort of the Art Deco kind, in the foreground, and that building stood empty in the background. But it's exactly the same building. So it was in Norristown. That's where it was.
All right, I was just wondering.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate your calling in and reminding us about that, because I was going to say something about it anyhow.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I thank you.
All right.
Kim, let's sort of go to you and tell us what goodies you have brought us.
I can go real quick. First off, I would just like to point out, since February 1st, we've tweaked our research service, so please visit our website and take a look at that. We did some adjustments on that, so I just want to make all our viewers aware of that. Last month, I think I mentioned that we started working on a collection inventory. We're currently doing one collection. It's the Shanneman collection. William F. Shanneman was mayor of Reading between 1893 and 1896, and he was one of the youngest mayors of Reading at the age of 36. And what I have, actually, is the Bible that he was sworn in on. His inauguration date was April 3rd, 1893. The Bible is important to him because it was given to him by the superintendent of the Universalist Sunday School, Louis Brenner.
Briner. They named a school after him.
Sorry, I'm reading at the same time. And it was given to him for good attendance and interest and progress on his Sabbath school work. And it's actually inscribed by that, on the inside that he received his the oath of office on this. And just so that you don't, in case you don't know what he looks like, I do have a couple of pictures. This is him during the 1890s while he was mayor. Want to hold?
Sure.
Prop that up, please. And then I have.
I don't have gloves.
It's okay. I'm not touching the photograph. And then this is the picture of him in his office as mayor.
At City Hall at 5th and Franklin on the northeast corner,
Yep.
which would now be where the lawn is for the church next door on the north side.
Was he the youngest mayor ever elected?
He was the youngest mayor ever, right?
Ever.
Wow.
I'll take this back. So we're hoping to come up with some more fun stuff as we continue to go through our collection.
Quick comment about Mayor Sheneman. His daughter was Julia Sheneman Elmer, a well-known music teacher in the city of Reading at 4th and Douglas for a long time. He built that house on 4th and Douglas. And his grandson, of course, was Cedric Elmer, a well-known local musician. Cedric was very influential in keeping the Community School of Music afloat and making it prosper during the time that he was there. Mayor Sheneman was very fortunate. He did quite well financially. He and I guess his brother had a broom works in the city of Reading. And in those days, they would color the straw. And he had just ordered a large shipment of German dyes. And bingo, along came World War I, and you could not get German dyes, which were about the best in the world, very desirable. And instead of using them, I guess, for his brooms, he sold off quite a bit of that dye that he had purchased prior to the outbreak of our getting into World War I, and did very nicely for himself. He was related, the Shenemans were related to Christopher Scherer. I forget what that relationship was, but I remember that his daughter Julia sat on the foot of the bed at the old Reading Hospital at Front and Spring at the time that artist Christopher Scherer passed away, about 1931, I guess.
I've seen some political buttons in the museum collection, George, that have like a broom on them. Would they have been from him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Huh. Yeah, that's you know, I forgot about that. Yeah, he was a broom maker.
Oh, I've even seen maybe even little brooms, maybe, or
yes,
little.
Right. Yeah.
Whisk brooms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like with a pencil.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, we have a couple of those.
Oh yeah. Neat. Well, and it was Cedric, bless his heart, that gave this fine collection to the Historical Society several years ago, and it's now being processed and will be available into perpetuity. Let me thank you for your efforts there, Kim. Okay, let's go back to a few more pictures.
How many slides do you think you have from this era, George? From the 60s, the color era there?
I took a lot of pictures in the 60s as they were tearing things down.
Mm-hmm.
How many do you think you have?
I'm not really sure,
okay,
but a bunch. Because I was taking pictures of the... Oh, that is the old Peter Barbie brewery, the old Sunshine Brewery, which was at the foot of Hockley Lane, Hockley Lane. Second Hockley Lane was Buttonwood Street years back. West Elm, in the memory of many of you people, West Elm as such no longer exists. We would be looking up towards Kissinger Street, which was renamed Schuylkill Avenue. So we would be looking eastward. We would be down sort of with River Road to our back, and the old Duryea automobile factory to our back when this picture was taken. That is the earliest view that we have of that Barbie brewery. I think they started out for a short time on Penn Street, but they came down here and dug into the side of the hill to make a vault to store the beverage. And then later on, when they realized that where they were was entirely too small for what they had planned, they moved the whole operation here to the Barbie lot. The Barbie lot ran originally from Old River Road along the north side of West Elm Street up to Schuylkill Avenue. At Schuylkill Avenue, right on Schuylkill Avenue, where Barbie's playground is today, was where the Barbie mansion used to sit, a very large, big brick Victorian mansion that after the turn of the century served for a short time as a hospital. It was only used for a hospital maybe 4 or 5 years. And in one of the passing scene books, I have a picture. This picture was made for a passing scene book, and it also has a picture of tearing down the old mansion to make way for Barbie's Playground. I think that might have been I think the thing stood until maybe the late 30s or into the 40s. But that was Barbie's Sunshine Brewery. Can you pan over to the left-hand side? Is there any more of that picture?
I wonder how much one of those big kegs weighed empty.
Plenty. Yeah, plenty.
Yes.
Much less full.
Yeah. I remember when a certain engineer died down south and they wanted to bury him up here in Berks County, they put him in one of those barrels along with some spirituous material.
Some preservative.
Yeah, yes, it was. Yes, it was. I think it was brandy, actually.
That'll do it.
But they sent it back in brandy, yes. But they weren't about to waste all that brandy.
Well, they get strained.
That's a whole other story. And a rather true one in point of fact. Well, he was a man of clean living, so.
Oh, wow.
That's a good one.
Okay, well, here's your area that you're sort of interested in. The lamented lost Pomeroy building at 6th and Penn. In the 1950s, was it Fred Muhlenberg? Muhlenberg's redesigned the front of Pomeroy's, and they gave it that 1950-ish sort of look. Because originally, that same architecture went right down to the street level with those large windows that were always decorated so lavishly around Christmas time. I think this picture, I have it dated in 1962, so I must have taken that in '62. Looking up Penn Street, and there, sort of in the middle of the picture, in that opening, you see A.S. Beck Shoe Store, which was an absolutely unique building with its turrets and all of that sort of thing. A wonderful building, A.S. Beck Shoe Store. And over in the left-hand side,
Sunshine.
there was a cigar store in later years. Earlier on, it was a clothing store, and the store that used to sit there made the first off-the-rack suits available in all of Berks County. Off the rack. Now, this is going back to 1902, 1901, 1902. That is the first floor. You see where that business went right down almost to the street level. There were windows below that, but where they closed that in, that's what it looked like originally. That was all open down to the street level. And that was, well, they had clothing in there, was what it was. The upper level, China, their China department in Pomeroy's. These were taken by Jonathan Woods in 1901, 1902, who was a commercial photographer in the city of Reading, used to live on North 5th Street. Very interesting man, commercial photographer, was very active in both the Red Men and in the Elks. He was an early member of the Elks, and when they had a big elk convention in Reading, that's why these pictures were taken. There was an Elks convention right after the turn of the century, the last century, and these pictures were taken for a big commemorative booklet highlighting the fine places of the city of Reading.
I wonder what that sign is on the pole on the right-hand side.
If you can read this, you're too darn close.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. He took, at the same time, he took some of the early Woolworth pictures, and some of those signs said, everything on this counter, 5 cents. Everything on this counter, 10 cents, because the old 5 and dimes were exactly that years ago. Everything in the entire store was either a nickel or a dime, and then they went to a quarter. And then at the end, it was 5, 10, 25, and dollar stores. And very, very rare picture. And I have to thank, I believe Paul Miller of Sinking Spring made that available. That was taken it was taken before 1884, which is when they tore that bridge down. And we have Dr. Benson's steam grist mill on the other side, which at another time had been used as a canal hotel. Now you see the Schuylkill Canal on the Reading side, and you see that narrow strip of land where the mules walked. Can you imagine what happened during times of high water insofar as navigation on the canal. All you had to do was have a little high water and you were in big trouble with canaling. That was a wooden bridge that was built. By the way, we're at Lionbox Hill in West Reading. Notice how it always came down at an angle. And the reason it came down at an angle was there was a mountain directly in front of the entrance to the bridge on the West Reading side. Lionbox Hill was a very massive accumulation of limestone that they started blasting away in the late 1950s. But that's a very rare picture that was built right after the flood of 1850. That bridge, I think, stood from 1851 or so to 1884, and the reason that that was replaced was that they built the Pennsy railroad line underneath the bridge on the Reading side in 83, 84, and they came to the conclusion that it was not a good idea to be taking locomotives belching fire and steam beneath a wooden bridge. So that wooden bridge was replaced by an iron truss bridge, which they said would be impervious to all those things that a locomotive would give off, and it would last forever. Forever came about 1912 when it was so badly corroded on the Reading side from the locomotives that the people had to get off the trolleys, walk across. That's quite a walk. Walked across to the West Reading side. They would run the trolleys over empty. Then they would get on over here and head westward as far as Wilmelsdorf at one time.
Would the motorman ride the trolley or just send it over by
No, give it a push. Yeah, they were afraid to carry the people. Because you know what? When you had 60 people in a trolley, that added weight to that thing. So it reached the point where they really didn't trust.
That's a great looking bridge.
Isn't that a wonderful picture, though? That's a real rarity.
Wide, too.
Oh.
It was a two-lane. We had a two-lane bridge at Poplar Neck. We had a two-lane bridge at Lancaster Avenue. That's the one in the flood of 1869. The Reading 1/3 washed down the river, and the folks at Douglasville, being enterprising, had grappling hooks and ropes and whatever, and pulled it in and put up 1/3 of the Lancaster Avenue bridge down at Douglasville, which is why Douglasville, way out in nowhere at that time, had a two-lane bridge, because they got it for nothing floating down the Schuylkill River.
Price was right.
The price was right. We just talked about this today at a meeting of some of the retired Wyomissing and West Reading teachers. The old West Reading Hotel along Penn Avenue, between 5th and 6th on the north side. That was a real landmark in West Reading at the time. Unfortunately, that it was taken down.
Would that have, George, was that still, I mean, I remember the West Reading Hotel in the late 50s, early 60s.
Oh, sure.
That was it?
Oh, yeah, that was it.
I remember they had that big bear skin on the wall.
And when they were tearing that down, they had a bunch of heads out in the sidewalk for sale. And the same as the
Showboat.
The Showboat over in Glenside.
Oh, we have
a home viewer. Yes, home viewer.
Not much time left.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
I would like to ask you, George, you had a slide on the Schuylkill Canal.
Yes.
How far did that go to and from? Did it go in Birdsboro by any chance?
Oh, sure, it went to Birdsboro. The Lock House is still there in Birdsboro.
Yes.
But when you drive into Birdsboro on 724, at part of that, you're actually going over the canal bed.
Right, right. Well, I grew up right alongside there.
Yes.
Yes, and the locks you're talking about was the caretaker of it was Thomas Werner.
Right, exactly.
Years and years ago.
Yeah, we have some slides of that.
Okay.
I appreciate your call.
Just curious.
Yes.
Thank you.
I thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, I believe that's going to do it for this month. Tell your friends about our show, which is on live the first Wednesday of each month at 7. Thanks to the program associates, Joshua Blay, Simon Bertlet, Kim Richards, for wearing 2 hats today. I'm George Miser, your host and president of the Historical Society for the past decade. We look forward to having you join us again on Wednesday, March the 4th, 2009 at 7. Thanks for watching. So long.
The Historical Society on BCTV is supported in part by the Highlands at Wyomissing.
everybody, Denny McConnell coming to you, and it's that time again. How about the BCTV Dance Party? 7th Annual Telethon Extravaganza at the River Edge, Route 183, Saturday, February 28, 12 noon to 1 a.m. Some of the acts that are going to be there: Eric Koala, Jennifer Kinder, the Skid Marks. We've got from England, Rockabilly act Dibs Preston and the Detonators, Chuck Ko and the Fun Junkies, always a fun time, Burning House, Roof Rockers, they tore it up last year, Flamin' Dick and the Hot Rods, Dog Bite Money, be there. It's only $10 to get in. The contribution is suggested, and it's at the River Edge, 183. Be there, February 28th.
.300 Cherry Street, Reading, PA, 19602.
Good evening and welcome to Berks Vibe. I'm your host, Marcia Fortley, and yes, I am missing my co-host, Mike.